Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Spiffing Brit, and today we're playing Humankind, and oh my goodness, who's this spiffy chappy in the corner? Oh, he looks so majestic, so beautiful, so handsome, and oh my goodness, it's me, of course. Now, today we're playing a very unique game of Humankind, because you see, the developers just released the game, and what happens when a developer just releases a game? Well, it's full of not only balance issues, but completely broken gameplay mechanics. I mean, so many features of this game are completely and utterly ridiculously unbalanced. It is wonderful. You know your game's having problems when a lot of the early game science civs are hardly producing any science, and then just Turkey, which I'm pretty sure is meant to be a food-focused culture, for some reason has the most powerful science districts in the universe. It's like, hang on a second, something went wrong with the game design here. But hey, ultimately the game's good fun and that's all that matters, and today we're breaking a very unbalanced part of it. As you see, we're going to be playing a game of Humankind without really leaving the Neolithic era. That's right, it's the first part of the game when you're exploring around as a caveman, and we're not going to be leaving it at all. We're simply going to be staying and growing our tribe using some very cheeky exploits to become incredibly powerful. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to begin. So we're going to start a brand new game against just one AI. I think Victor here, he'll do fine. We'll play on a nice little small world together and on a nice fast speed. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to perfectly balance and slightly break this game. I should be blue, shouldn't I? Blue, perfect. And away we go. Now, you see, the game has a few very interesting mechanics. As the game starts tribe era, you see, normally in Civilization, you just start with a settler, you plonk down your city. But this game isn't like that, as you're a tribe, as you're meant to be playing the entire history as a bunch of Neolithic tribes people wandering around the map trying to herd woolly mammoths off of cliffs, and so you have to grow your tribe as such. Now, welcome to the game, ladies and gentlemen, and something very unique happens in the Neolithic era. As you see, we start out with one person here, and our mission is very simple: gain 10 food to gain another tribesperson who will then help us scout around. In order to leave the Neolithic era, you need either 3 tribespeople to have discovered 5 science deposits, or to have murdered 3 random animals. Don't worry, we're going to be doing all of those things and more. So firstly, you'd think we just want to move our tribesperson and discover some curiosities and goodies in order to try and gain more tribespeople. This is exactly what we want to do, but in a very unique fashion. As you see, manually moving your tribesperson around is a terrible idea. You are a smooth-brained human. You don't know where the curiosities can spawn because they're hidden in the fog of war. How are you even meant to discover them? Well, ladies and gentlemen, just use the game's inbuilt cheating mechanics by turning on auto-explore, having the AI path you all the way into the fog of war, and discover a curiosity for you. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen, we just wandered straight from our starting position right on top of a curiosity, giving us 5 influence, which we can then immediately use to found ourselves an outpost, which we'll do naturally right here. This is because we're not using this turn to move around, so it makes perfect sense. So with our outpost down, we can then just end our turn, and then the AI will auto-explore straight onto this food deposit and gain us 5 food. Lovely stuff. And we could just end our turn again, and away the auto-explore AI goes straight into the fog of war and onto this curiosity, because it can. The AI is just basically wall hacking its way through the game, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. Now, we can technically move into the next era of the game, and the other AI has actually chosen to do that. They've decided to pick the Harappans, but we're not going to move to the next era of the game, because that's actually not a smart move. Now, fantastically, we've managed to locate ourselves a sanctuary, which we can just hop on top of and pillage. When we pillage a sanctuary, we get 20 food from it, which is also known as 2 more tribespeople. Now, 2 more tribespeople are perfect, because what you can do with this is not move to the next era, which is what the game wants us to do. Simply grab your tribesperson and separate them off running around the map, because ultimately we've now just increased our abilities to discover more food. So we separate up our tribesperson like so, and just have them auto-explore everywhere. Just set them all off exploring, and would you look at that, they're discovering curiosities left, right, and center. This tribesperson has already discovered a new tribesperson, who we can then once again immediately separate off and send off on this woolly mammoth-based adventure. There you go. You go discover some more stuff for me. And you as well can be put to auto-explore, and you discover more ancient encampments. Lovely stuff. This is wonderful. Who knew printing living beings was as easy as randomly pressing an auto-explore button and then just having them hone into food and just having more humans appear? If only such a thing was possible with the like button. Oh no, that would be perfectly balanced. I could just spawn people out of thin air and force them to like every video. Ah, yes. And then we'd conquer YouTube with our unlimited swarms of tribes people. Ah, now that's perfect. I think we should probably also settle ourselves an outpost right here. Only costs us 10 influence, so that's exactly what we'll do. Oh, would you look at that? There we go. We've just gained some nuts from this little food deposit, so we can then separate off this tribesperson, send them off towards this direction, scouting. And oh, there we go. Some fresh water as well. Lovely stuff. That's another tribesperson to add to our collection. We'll send them off scouting over here, and then we'll just turn on auto-explore and trust that they've discovered a sanctuary immediately. Lovely. That's another 2 more tribespeople. You You need to be on auto explore as well, my friends. There you go. Lovely stuff. Scout around. Alright, so you jump to here and you pillage this. We also gain another free party of refugees, which we can then just immediately auto explore. And then we've gained some nuts here, which is another tribes person. Now, you are meant to basically leave this era as soon as you've got, you know, about 5 people. But the longer you stay in this era, the better. Because, well, the thing is, it's a really quick way of gaining units and population. And population is ultimately really powerful, as you can use population to basically hurry along things like production. You use population to train units. So if you want a large army, guess what? You're gonna need a large population. And it just so happens that the fastest way to grow a population is to run around the earliest era in the game. Now, the biggest issue with leading an army comprised of hundreds of cavemen is actually the requirement for nightlife, you see. This is largely because all of the cavemen love to go clubbing. Oh god. Right now, pretty much 2 turns later, we're immediately up to 16 population, and you can see kind of how this spiral gets out of control. Basically, the more exploration you do and the more units you have, the more opportunities you have that you're going to actually find yourself a goodie hut and give yourself another unit. It's basically one gigantic snowball situation at this point, where each unit we have gives us another unit, which in turn gives us another unit, and so on and so forth, and you end up with this gigantic mess of a situation where we basically just end our turn, and then population just appears out of thin air. Oh, we've actually discovered the Great Barrier Reef as well. That's wonderful. Lovely stuff indeed. Got ourselves another load of tribes people here that we should probably separate up. There we go. Just run them around. You need to hop onto here, and there we go. That's another tribes person who we then separate off and send them along the river. Now, this is kind of micromanaging. Oh, no, my goodness. Of course, they immediately go and just discover even more tribes people. Okay, right. Separate you off. Go explore, my friends. Oh, my goodness. Okay, we got a lot of tribes people now. We're up to 20. This is a good quantity of tribes people. Oh, my goodness. You can just hear as soon as I end the turn, just the endless click of more tribes people have been recruited. Right, I'm going to separate this person off and run them over to here, and I'll actually use them to build another outpost just here so that we can increase our influence even more, and I'll put them to auto explore for next turn. This person over here can be separated off. There we go. We haven't even discovered the other AI, which is meant to exist on this map somewhere. I guess they're just really far off in this direction. Right, but there we go. We end our turn. More exploration happens. Oh, this tribe has grown. Good job. You found some nuts that were incredibly loud. Oh, there's actually a deer. We can fight deers. Deers are good. We kill deers. I think we gain food. Just a little bit of food. There we go. And the thing is, more and more food will spawn as the game goes on. Even though we've already been over this entire area, food is spawning in each turn because the game's actually trying to catch us up, which kind of creates this rather awkward situation whereby the game is just handing us more and more population. There we go. And we've just murdered ourselves another deer. Okay, now this is where the game's starting to break, because every turn it's kind of, you know, playing the same audio cue about 700 times layered on top of each other, which is, you know, a good sign because, yeah, the game is now starting to have issues as it's turn 16. We haven't left the Neolithic era, and instead we now have 35 tribesmen running around. This is not exactly the way the game's meant to be played, but it does work. That's what makes it so powerful. Oh, look, there's another goodie hut. Right, run to the goodie hut. Now, yes, game, I know you want me to move into the next era, but no, I'm not moving into the next era. I just gained another tribes person. Straight into the fog of war we go. Let us discover more goodie huts and another deer. There we go. I've actually killed all of the deer, which means I've completed all of the era scores. Fantastic. You know, I'll even settle myself down an outpost over here. There we go. That will make the game happy. Right, this tribe is now up to 3, so it needs to get separated out. Well, I suppose it doesn't need to get separated out. At this point, we cover pretty much the entire region. We're up to 38 pop now, which is lovely stuff. And we still haven't even found the other AI, which is, oh, it's over here. It's over here. That means we probably would have to sail on over to them. A sanctuary. Oh, yes, this is fantastic. Right, lovely. We'll burn down this sanctuary. This will give us even more population. And then I think we're honestly at a point where we should probably move into the next era, because we're up to 40 pops now. This is kind of too many. Make that 44. There's another sanctuary over here somewhere. Oh my god. Okay, right. 47 population. I think we have to stop when we get to 50, okay? It's turn 20 and we have 47 pop. This is far too much. The game is not meant to have anywhere near this many. Oh my god, the game is really having problems now with the sound. Oh, you know what? These bears want to attack us, but I actually reckon we could manual battle them. Right, we'll fight some bears. There we go. No problem. Bears are trying to attack uphill. They're going to just lose over and over again. Fantastic. The bears are just going to die. Lovely stuff. We can just end round again, and the bears will suicide into our tribes people. Oh, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Glorious victory, and that actually gave us 20 food, which once again equals 2 more pops to be added to our tribe, which we can then just run off in this direction, discover the sanctuary where the bears are hiding. Come on, where did you come from, bears? There's the lair. There it is. Fantastic. Right, and now we just ransack this lair and get another 20 food. So all in all, the bears are going to give us about 40 food, also known as 4 more tribes people, also known as effectively 40 more combat combat strength, because each tribesperson is 10 combat strength. And oh yes, we just got even more tribespeople. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, this is becoming a problem. Right, 56 tribespeople, this is good. 59. Now, what if I just didn't leave this era? What if we just kept fighting? And now bears are attacking us again. Lovely. Okay, manual fight time. What are these bears doing? Bears, why? Oh, these bears are very silly. There we go. Bears murdered once again. That's another 20 food, also known as more tribespeoples. My goodness, right. Okay, run off in this direction. Good job. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, we're just not going to move to the next era. Why bother? Why bother moving to the next era when we can just sit in here forever? I mean, we're up to 76 influence, so I'm thinking I can just put down, right, more outposts. No, we need 100 influence. Okay, so that means we need a few more scientific goodie huts, and then we can put down another outpost. But the thing is, the scientific goodie things are still spawning in naturally because we have land, so they just spawn on in. There you go. We're now up to 96 influence, so just a few more, and that's fantastic. We'll end turn again. A few more spawn in, and immediately we jump onto them, and the game sound is breaking. And there we go. 106 influence. We can now put ourselves down another outpost. Probably in a better position though. Oh, here is a perfect position for an outpost. There we go. Lovely stuff. So one more outpost down. We're up to 64 population now, which is very, very good. Now the game wants me to go into the next era again, but once again we're just not going to do that because why bother? Oh my goodness, this is just becoming a mess. We're now just going to occupy this entire continent pretty much. Okay, we're up to 71 population now. The game is having a minor fit every time I end the turn. Well, it's now turn 34, and you're probably wondering what on earth we're going to do with this situation that we've now created, because we have 84 units lying around, we have 85 knowledge stars saved up, and we have 7 hunter stars saved up. We're basically going to cheese the development and growth of a city using something a little bit magical, as we're actually going to pick ourselves our next civilization. We're going to go for the Hittites for one very simple reason. They have an increase of 1 combat strength, which is actually very useful for what we're about to do. Otherwise the Hittites aren't actually that useful. So +1 combat strength, you pick yourselves the Hittites. Very nice, fantastic stuff. And we move into the next era. So we're into the next era, and instantaneously we've gained 3 era stars. You might be wondering how. Well, this is because we've completed the Agrarian Stars mission. The Agrarian Stars mission will give you 3 stars for having 36 population in the ancient era, and well, we have 84 population because, well, we've just summoned population out of thin air. It really was that easy. And now we're in a situation where we need to make ourselves our first city. We're going to turn fact here into our first city, and then we'll be saving up points to turn this into a second city, but only because we can do something magical with it. As you see, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be choosing the combat of this game to do something very, very magical indeed. Now, step 1 is to instantaneously research 1 or 2 things, which we can do relatively easily. We'll also gain shamanism for +1 faith per population, and well, we have a large population. Now, what we'll do is we'll spend some of our science to actually pick up calendar, which is very useful, and then we'll work our way onwards towards organized warfare, which is our most important research. Right, fantastic. It's pretty much turn 1 of the ancient era complete. Now, the reason we wanted to move into the next era is pretty simple. When you move into the next era, all of your military units become the next strongest type of military unit. You go from being a tribesperson to having scouts. Scouts have 4 more combat strength, which is very nice, meaning our entire military force of about 100 units just became 40% more powerful. This is very useful, especially when you can use this power to do something pretty cheesy. Oh, and actually we can pick our first religious tenant because, of course, there's a lot of people following our religion now. Now, here's the thing. Amazingly, we've got enough influence stored up where we can actually create our second city, which is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to turn this outpost of Morava here into a city. Now, the outpost is in a very unique situation because what you can do is just turn it into a city, place down a district that we'd like to see constructed, like this food district here, and as you can see, it's going to take 2 turns to produce. This is quite a lot of turns. We don't really have that much time to sit around and wait. So instead, what we're going to do is just liberate the city, turn it into an outpost, and wabam, it's now independent. Then we're just going to simply waltz on over and lay siege. Assault, instant resolution, and victory. The city is now ours. It instantly gives us the cultural blessing civic, which is nice and powerful, but of course we're going to do nothing with it yet, as we've murdered the population of Nessa down to 1. All we're going to do is immediately re-liberate it. Wait 1 turn, and what the small city of Nessa will do is produce a single district. Now that they've produced their district, we'll simply run on in and attack them again. There we go, instant resolution. What they chose to do with that district was improve the 2 deposits of sage they had, and now that it's ours, we have control of it again. What we can do is just, I don't know, put down a industry district there, a food district there, get them to build a pottery workshop somehow, and just bring a few more of our armies even closer to the combat. And then what we're going to do is quite simply liberate the people of Nessa once more. And now that they're independent, what they've done is they've actually just immediately improved that horses resource. So we'll end our turn again. Their population still hasn't even come back, so when we attack, we just immediately occupy it because, well, they don't have any population population to actually man the walls, and then what you want to do is liberate it yet again. Every time you liberate it, they build a district. As you can see, just out of thin air, they've built that farmer's quarter. Congratulations, they're now a free peoples. There we go, we've just made Nessa independent yet again, and what we can do is just immediately actually attack them as we have some units positioned outside of the walls. So basically on this one turn, we've attacked them and then released them, and they've built a farmer's quarter, and then we've just attacked them again, and now they're ours, and what we'll do is we'll liberate them yet again. What's going to happen is they'll build up a research quarter. Now that's very nice. We can't even build research quarters yet. We haven't even researched that technology, whereas it's down here in philosophy, which is an entire age ahead of us. So congratulations to them. They've just managed to take control of that area. Lovely stuff. But here's the issue, Nessa. Well done. Congratulations. You've built up that district. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to wander in with our refugees here. Once again, attack because they're out of range, and they will occupy the city of Nessa once more for the third time this turn. Then what we're going to do is just liberate them yet again. And oh, would you look at that? They've built a commons quarter. Hang on, how have they built a commons quarter? Where is the commons quarter in the text? It's over here at Imperial Power. We are nowhere close to that, but don't worry, this random city-state can build whatever it feels like. This is kind of ridiculous, but hey, it's perfectly balanced, and at the end of the day, it just works. So we'll end our turn, and what we'll do is we will attack the city of Nessa, immediately occupy it, glorious stuff, and then once again, we'll just liberate this city. This city is actually starting to get quite good. As you can see, it's got some nice yields going on, it's got some decent science, so we'll just liberate it once more. There we go, well, bam, it's decided to build another farmer's quarter, lovely stuff. There we go, one turn passes, and we're ready for combat yet again. But what we want to do this time is make sure that we have units that can run into the city that are outside of the actual combat itself. Aha, and I think we can do that fantastically over here. So all I want to do is run this guy up to here, and this guy up to here, and then if we attack with this man here, no one else should actually be called in as reinforcements. So we attack, we do an assault, we do an instant resolution, victory for us. We actually get a militarist era star as well, and the city of Nessa is once again ours. What do we do? Well, we'll once again just liberate this city. What are they going to build this time? Oh, they built a nice maker's quarter over here. Very nice. Then what are we going to do? Well, we'll run in over here and simply assault using this guy, and once again capture the city for the second time this turn. Then we'll just liberate them yet again. Well, bam, they've built themselves another research quarter. Very cool. And if we run in and attack with this guy, fantastic stuff. The city is ours again, and we can just liberate it once more. What do they build? Another commons quarter, looking very cool. And sadly, this guy can't actually even run and attack this turn because there's no space for him. But don't worry, we can do that next turn. Oh my goodness, this is just yeah, a perfectly balanced way of fighting, my friends. All right, there we go. We'll attack the city of Nessa again, and then just liberate it once more. Fantastic stuff. And I think we can attack it from down here. Yep, and no one gets called in, so we're bam, we'll do that. The city is ours once more. Then we just liberate it again, get them to build up more districts. Then we'll just attack it from here, take it once more, liberate it again, and then I think this should probably be our final time. We should be able just to waltz straight in, and we're bam, we've got ourselves a city immediately set up with a whole bunch of districts generating a gigantic quantity of things for us. Lovely stuff. Now we just give it a little set of stone rings, and this city is pretty much perfectly good to go. This is how to perfectly balance your way through the entirety of this game. It is completely and utterly broken, because ultimately, what is the point of building your own cities when simply you can just steal them from others? I know which one I'd rather do. I mean, even though we're an entire era behind our opposition, we're only 100 points behind them, meaning we have this entire game in the bag. They've already become the Celts and they've completed 3 era stars, but my goodness, we are getting a lot of fame. We are in a fantastic position to crush whatever puny forces they have, because look at this amazing giga city we've constructed. All it took was attacking an empty city over and over again and then telling the corpses of the city that they were liberated, and somehow the corpses of the city rose up and built a whole bunch of campuses and some amazing commons quarters despite not having any of the necessary technology to do so. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, life somehow finds a way. It's a shame we don't have a land access to our opponents, because if you actually did, then all you do is you take your gigantic army of hunting parties here and you simply wave assault them over and over again. Your men are pretty much meaningless. Sure, we could just disband all of them and set them to work in this city if we wanted to, which we can do so like this, and we're bam, suddenly Nessa actually is functioning with a large population. Yes, what's the point of actually fighting with units that cost money in production when instead you can just take all of the upgraded tribespeople from the neolithic era that you got for free and march them onto your enemies, because guess what? They've got 14 combat strength, ladies and gentlemen. They're not that bad. Sure, on their own they're not as strong as an archer with 17 combat strength or a horseman with 16, but as soon as you unlock the reinforcement technology, you can bring as many armies into a battle as you like. If you've got 100 of these men stored up, you can bring all 100 of them into every battle and guarantee a win no matter the auto resolve. You you will demolish any enemy, no matter how far technologically advanced they are to you, because your sheer numbers of upgraded tribespeople will stop at nothing to trample the entire world into the ground. And remember, when you find your enemy cities, just invade them and liberate them over and over and over again in order to rapidly develop their cities and make them actually useful. This process of sacking your own cities and liberating them over and over again actually works best on slower speeds, because if it takes you 10 turns to build a district and there's one player who can just do it in 1 turn, guess what? That's kind of completely and utterly broken and will decimate the balance of every single multiplayer game. And the thing is, the longer games go on, the more expensive districts are. Originally, when this city was built, it would only take 2 turns to build a district. Now it takes 4. But of course, if we actually want districts to be built, we just ransack our own city over and over again, because that's how to really do combat. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the early game of Humankind is completely and utterly broken and is absolutely full of exploits. Another way you can technically completely destroy this game is via the use of disbanding your own units in your own cities, because every time you do so, your religion spreads. As you can see, we've got 3 units sat right on over here in this outpost, and if we disband them, they go through to a nearby city, which is following my religion. So when disbanded, as you can see, we get closer to actually having enough people to gain the next tenant on our religion. Do so again, and wabam, our religion's ready for upgrade. You can do this system over and over again until you get straight to the end of the religion tech tree at pretty much a quarter of the way through the game. It is very, 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 very broken, but also a lot of fun. Anyway, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly why Humankind is ever so slightly mindly broken. Of course, there'll be many more videos of me absolutely decimating this game releasing over the next few weeks, so be sure to subscribe to discover how you can lose all of your friendships by cheesing this perfectly balanced game that has no exploits whatsoever. As always, a massive thank you to each and every one of our amazing patrons who make these videos all the more possible. Seriously, thank you very much, you lovely sausages. Without you, all of this wouldn't be possible. And hey, if you sat there wondering what video you'd like to watch next, look no further than this one on screen now, hand-chosen by myself to be absolutely perfect for you. Anyway, I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Have a lovely day, and goodbye for now.